Hey everyone, it's me Tim, and today I have some really exciting news. I recently purchased a drone, and today we're going to be talking about the Mavic Air, all its features, all the things it can do, and why I chose this one over the Mavic Mini. Stick around. So, like I said, today we're talking about the new drone I got, and I decided after some deliberation on the Mavic Air. Now, I have a few reasons for this, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video, but I do want to say the Mavic Mini is an awesome option depending on what you want this drone for. First off, though, I do need to say huge thank you to my Patreons, everyone over on the Patreon page. We recently hit a milestone, and the goal I had set for this milestone was that when we reached it, I would invest in new camera equipment. And the thing I decided to buy was a new drone, because while I was out there traveling around to all the national parks, even though I couldn't fly a drone in the national parks, there were a lot of campsites I was really wishing I could get some aerial footage of. Just some things to really capture the scope of the places I've been, and I really felt like I was missing out on that not having a drone. I actually left on this trip and sold the drone I had, the DJI Spark. And the reason I got rid of it because I wasn't really using it all that much, and I put the money towards leaving on this trip. So I'm super excited anyways. It's a huge thank you to the Patreon community. It really means the world to me that those guys over there are supporting what I'm doing here and helping me make better content for you and everyone else that watches this channel. So that's really cool. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the features of this drone. So it does have a 3-axis gimbal camera. It will shoot in 4K up to 30 frames per second or 1080p at 120 frames per second. It's got a 12 megapixel camera and will shoot in RAW. It comes in this really snappy foldable design, and it's about the size of, well, they say it's the size of a smartphone. I think it's the size of 2 smartphones when it's all folded up. That's still not too bad. The remote control is also super compact, and the little control sticks are detachable and they store inside the handles like this. Not that I do this, but you could control your drone from up to 6,562 feet away. And I like to keep it a little bit closer than that and at least within eye shot. Now, the batteries will give you up to 21 minutes of flight time, which is not bad. You can also skip using the remote control and just fly this drone with your cell phone. I haven't done that, but it is an option. So I opted for this darker color because it's a little bit easier to see against a bright blue sky. I felt like the white one might be a little easier to lose track of, and even this one with the darker color, I will sometimes look up and not be able to find where this thing is in the sky. So I would say if you're gonna invest in a drone, go with a darker color. I think it's a little bit easier to see against a bright blue sky compared to the white one. So while I show you some of the SmartFly features, there is of course the active track, which I was playing around with a couple weeks ago on the Arizona BDR. It also has 6 different quick shots, including rocket, droney, circle, helix, asteroid, and boomerang. Now I just kind of want to talk a little bit about why I chose this drone over the Mavic Mini. If you guys are in the market for a drone right now, I'm sure you have been checking out the Mavic Mini, and I think it's an awesome option. One of the #1 features that it didn't have that I felt like I couldn't live without was the follow me feature. I really wanted to be able to get shots of myself riding through some epic landscape. So that was an important feature to me. Now I just want to go down and compare the two drones so that you can make a informed decision for yourself. I'm not saying the Mavic Air is better than the Mavic Mini or even the other way around. I think they both have their purpose and they're both awesome drones. Now I personally have no experience with the Mavic Mini, and I'm only basing this on the scientific stats and features of it, things like price and top flight speed and all of that. I would love to get my hands on one and test it out and give a thorough review on one. So this is just kind of a quick breakdown of what I was going through in my head before I decided on which one I was going to buy. So the Mini comes in at $399 and the Mavic Air is a whopping $900. That's quite a price jump. The Mavic Mini is pretty light, coming in at a ½ pound, and the Mavic Air coming in at 1 pound. As far as max flight time, the Mini's got the Air beat on this one. The Mini is going to give you a 30-minute flight time, where the Air is only giving you 21 minutes. Now, that's what the factory says. You're probably going to get a little less than that in real-world situations. Now, something the Mavic Air has over the Mavic Mini is top speed. The Mini's only going to give you 29 miles per hour, whereas with the Mavic Air, you'll get a blazing 42 miles per hour. As far as range, in terms of how far away you can fly it from yourself, they're both going to give you just about a 2.5 mile range. I'm not going anywhere near that. This is a really expensive drone, and I don't like it to leave my line of sight. So 2.5 miles, that's kind of overkill in my opinion, but it's nice to know that that's an option if you need it. Now, another thing with the Mavic Mini is this is not, in my opinion, a beginner's drone because it only has bottom sensors for hovering. It won't stop if it's about to hit a tree, whereas the Mavic Air has a lot more sensors. Another thing that the Mavic Air has over the Mini is the frame rate that you can shoot at. The Mavic Air is giving you 120 frames per second at 1080p. The Mavic Mini, you're only getting 30 frames per second. So if you want that super slowed down, smooth cinematic drone footage, you're going to want that 120 frames per second to really slow things down. And another thing to consider is that if you are into drone photography, the Mavic Mini will not shoot in RAW, whereas the Mavic Air will in fact shoot in RAW. Now, another difference is the resolution that they will shoot at. The Mavic Mini, 1080p or 2.7K, whereas the Mavic Air will give you up to 4K at 30 frames per second. There is a difference in bit rate, which the Mavic Mini's got 40 megabits per second and the Mavic Air has 100 megabits per second. And one more thing is that the Mavic Mini has a much lower wind resistance from some of the comparisons I've seen on YouTube, whereas the Mavic Air's got quite a bit. With that extra ½ pound of weight, it's a little more resistant to wind. So overall, the things that drew me to the Mavic Air over the Mavic Mini, other than of course the price, because I would have loved to have paid half the price, was the frames per second. I really wanted that 120 frames per second. 30 just wasn't going to cut it for me. That top speed, also really cool, especially with the follow me feature, because even if I'm going 30 miles an hour down a dirt road, to have a drone that can potentially keep up with me, now I haven't tested this yet, but in theory that would work. That is pretty cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to finding some open area where I can really play around with that follow me feature a little more. Another thing was the wind resistance. When I had the DJI Spark, I took a hike out to some cliff dwellings and I was trying to fly the drone around, and I actually got really scared. I thought I was going to lose it because I got a gust of wind through a canyon that I thought was just going to take the drone away. So I wanted something with some pretty beefy wind resistance, and that was another thing that drew me to the Mavic Air. Also, some of the automatic modes. You're a little limited with the Mavic Mini, and of course it doesn't do the follow me feature, which that was just super important to me. So that's kind of why I chose the Mavic Air over the Mavic Mini. However, there are some major bonuses to the Mavic Mini. For one, you don't have to register it in the United States, at least, because it's so lightweight. It's just under a different classification. I'm not going to pretend to know all of the different rules and regulations on it, but it's not treated the same in terms of the rules that you have to, register it and do all of these different things. Now, you still can't fly it near an airport and all of those rules, but that's a nice feature. You don't have to register it and all of that. It's a lot quieter, the battery lasts a lot longer, it's a lot lighter, and it is like substantially cheaper, less expensive than the Mavic Air. So, you know, it's kind of a toss-up, and it really depends on what you're looking for between the two drones. So I think they're just kind of like two really great, really awesome drones from DJI, who are really like the top dogs in the drone world. So I don't think you can really go wrong with one or the other, but that's my logic on it, and that's why I went with the Mavic Air. I happen to get a much better deal on this than $900. Even for the Fly More combo, I think I only paid like $800. So I got a pretty good deal on it, but it's an expensive drone. So, you know, it's a big investment. But anyways, that's all of the information I have so that you can kind of make an informed decision on your own. I will leave links to both drones down in the description box if you guys want to check those out. That is it for me today. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. That way you don't miss anything whenever I post something new about motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ride safe.